Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Today I'm actually waiting on my 12 p.m. consultation, and I had to say something, give you yet a new update, a new USCIS policy memorandum on okay, let me put it up. About USCIS on citizenship, US citizenship application. So pretty much, we all know, most people know the requirements to become a US citizen. You have to be a green card holder or permanent resident for certain years, 3 or 5 years, depending on the basis of your permanent residency. Be of 18 years of age, have English and language and civic knowledge, basic knowledge, 5th grade level knowledge, and you have maintained your status as a permanent resident, meaning physical and continuous residence is required. But in addition, you have to show good moral character. So good moral character, the statute that define citizenship and the requirements only put some statutory or permanent bars, right? So permanent bars to citizenship based on lack of good moral character. Those permanent bars are clear, like crimes of violence, crimes of, murder, genocide, torture. Let me read them for you. Okay, murder, aggravated felony, crimes of violence, persecution, genocide, torture, or severe violations of religious freedom. Those are permanent bars. If you have a criminal record of such a criminal activity or convictions, again, conviction in immigration is very different from conviction in criminal law. So that's another space for another day, or another video for another day. However, there are conditional bars to good moral character as well. Let's say you don't have those huge, big crimes on your record, but you have a few DUI, like driving under influence, reckless driving, crimes of violence or aggression, then your good moral character is questioned, is put in question. How it was, it was okay. They look at how long the crime has been and whether you have complied, and so depending, there are so many mitigating factors that they were usually reviewed before you are denied citizenship. So now the new policy is that in addition to evaluating whether or not you have a criminal record, USCIS officers have to review. Let me read to you, because I have to be able to say in how it's written. So USCIS officers must account for an alien's positive attributes and not simply the absence of misconduct. So basically, even if you don't have a criminal record, even if you have no issues at all in your record, your record is clean, your police clearance is clean, they will look at the positive attitudes. So what are those positive attitudes they are about to look at? So this new policy is listing a few. One of them is sustained community involvement and contributions in the United States. Family caregiving responsibility and ties in the United States. Educational attainment. Stable and lawful employment history and achievements. Length of lawful residence in the United States, and compliance with tax obligations and financial responsibility in the US. Okay? So basically what it means is, even if you have a good record, you have all the requirements to become a US citizen, you file your application, they will review your application, but they also look at, okay, so what's the level of involvement. So here I have to tell people who basically come to the US and spend like 3 months and leave, 5 months and leave, so they don't have any ties in the United States. Those people will be scrutinized for citizenship, even if they literally comply with all the requirements. They will be scrutinized. If you have family issues, usually if you have children, and then you have to show that you take care of them, right? Child support, you have to show that you paid your taxes, you don't have issues with your taxes. But now they will be very digging into that for everyone, okay? And they're gonna look at educational attainment, so which is how much education are they going to require to provide a citizenship. How is education relate to having a good moral character, right? Stable and lawful employment history and achievements. So basically you have to have a stable employment, you have to work in the US. Again, this come to people, this concerns people who don't live in the US, who basically have a US residency card just to have it, and then wait for time to apply for citizenship. And they will look at the length of lawful residence in the United States. So so basically they will weigh all those positive factors, and then they will balance those with the negative factors, which some of them we talked about the criminal records, but also they will look at if you have any civic responsibility in the community, if you have any reckless or habitual traffic infractions or harassment or aggressive solicitation. So I'll give you an example. I've had a client who was a truck driver, right? He had a lot of traffic violations, a lot of them. But for all of those traffic violations, he always complied. He always went to court, and he always complied with the, remedies that were suggested to him. But in this case right now, if you go to apply for U.S. citizenship, and you have a job where let's say you are a truck driver, or you just happen to have a lot of traffic violations, traffic tickets, even if you have taken care of them, that will chip on your good moral character. So basically that will be a negative factor for an officer who's going to be reviewing your citizenship. So they will balance the good factors and the negative factors. And also they will look at whether you have rehabilitated, right? So if you have caught up with your child support payment and family obligations, and compliance with your probation or other conditions imposed, community testimony. So they will look at the testimony, like affidavits from your peers in the community, and then if you have any tax due, you have to repay them. So this will involve a lot of paperwork, and it will give more discretion to the USCIS officer, because each office is going to be different in how they evaluate all these factors. And this is another added layer of paperwork, of headache to be quite honest, difficulty they are imposing on people in order to become US citizens. Okay, so yeah, that's what I want to talk to you about today. I think it was very important that you understand that applying for US citizenship is not going to be as straightforward as it has been, even for those people with no criminal record. So it's we see how it goes. We see if there's any development, if there's any pushback from the civil society, our Association of Immigration Lawyers, if we are going to push back on this policy. So I will keep you posted, okay? So have a great day. Bye.